Picture the year 1434 in the heart of Florence, Italy. A new power is rising not from nobility or royalty, but from a family of financiers. Visualize a family, the Medicis, whose beginnings were as modest as they come. They weren't born into nobility, they weren't destined for the throne, yet they were destined for something grander. The Medicis were intelligent, even cunning. They recognized that power didn't always come from a crown. It could come from coins, from the aptitude to lend and collect, from the prowess to finance dreams and wars alike. Through their banking empire, they slowly ascended the ranks, forming alliances, marrying into influential families, and gradually taking control of Florence. They became the puppeteers, pulling the strings of the city without ever sitting on a throne. And thus Florence fell under the control of these cunning bankers, the Medicis, setting the scene for a riveting tale of power, politics, and money. With their wealth multiplying rapidly, the Medici family had Florence at their fingertips. It was an era of abundance and intrigue, and the Medicis were at the heart of it all. A family of financiers, they had amassed vast wealth, but they yearned for more. They desired power. And so they turned to politics, leveraging their economic influence to seize control of the city. Cosimo de' Medici, he was the brain behind it all. Often referred to as the unofficial ruler of Florence, Cosimo was a shrewd politician. He understood the power of money, and he used it to his benefit, funding the campaigns of politicians who would serve his family's interests. He played the political game with the skill of a seasoned chess player, always thinking several moves ahead. But the Medici's influence didn't stop at politics. They were patrons of the arts, and their patronage played a significant role in sparking the Italian Renaissance. They sponsored artists like Donatello and Brunelleschi, turning Florence into a cultural hub. Then there was Lorenzo the Magnificent, Cosimo's grandson. Now, Lorenzo, he was a true Renaissance man, a politician, a patron of the arts, and a poet. Under his rule, Florence prospered. He commissioned works from artists like Botticelli and Michelangelo, transforming the city into a beacon of culture and learning. But Lorenzo wasn't just a patron of the arts. He was a proficient politician like his grandfather. He maintained the family's hold on power through strategic alliances and political maneuvering, ensuring that the Medici remained the unofficial rulers of Florence. The Medici's influence was so widespread that it permeated every aspect of Florentine life. They controlled the economy, they dictated the politics, they shaped the culture. They lived lavishly, hosting grand feasts and parties, setting the trends in fashion and art. They were the trendsetters, the tastemakers, the puppeteers pulling the strings. The Medici family, with their extravagant lifestyle and shrewd politics, had Florence dancing to their tunes. They were the Renaissance Mafia, the unofficial rulers of Florence, and their legacy is still felt today. But the Medici were not just rulers, they were trailblazers of modern banking. They were the crafty moneymen of the Renaissance, the financial geniuses who helped birth a revolution in banking that still reverberates today. In the heart of Florence, the Medici family developed innovative banking practices that would forever change the world of finance. They introduced bills of exchange, a precursor to our modern-day checks. This was a game changer. It allowed merchants to trade without the need for heavy coinage, making commerce faster, safer, and more efficient. But they didn't stop there. The Medici also pioneered the concept of holding companies. This allowed them to control a network of businesses while limiting their financial risk. It was a clever strategy that amplified their wealth and influence while insulating them from the volatile economic climate of the time. And let's not forget about branch banking. Yes, the Medici were ahead of their time in this aspect too. They established branches of their bank in key cities across Europe, creating an international banking network that was unprecedented in its scale and reach. This allowed them to facilitate transactions across borders, opening up new avenues of trade and investment. These practices were revolutionary. They transformed the banking system from a rudimentary, localized operation into a sophisticated, international network. It was a seismic shift that would lay the foundation for the global financial systems we know today. The Medici's financial acumen didn't just make them rich, it made them powerful. Their wealth bankrolled kings, financed wars, and funded the arts. They were the puppeteers pulling the strings of the Renaissance, using their financial clout to shape the world in their image. The Medici were not just making money, they were writing the rulebook for modern banking. Their influence was so profound that the banking practices they pioneered are still in use today. From the humble check to the complex networks of international banking, the Medici legacy lives on in the financial fabric of our world. But as they say, what ascends must descend, and the Medici were no exception. The sun began to set on the Medici's golden era, their downfall as dramatic as their rise. A mix of factors led to their undoing. Financial mismanagement was a significant culprit. The Medici Bank, once a symbol of their power, became a burden around their necks. Extravagant spending, poor investment decisions, and a lack of financial control saw the bank's fortunes dwindle. Political unrest also played its part. The Medici's hold on Florence loosened as their influence diminished and their enemies grew stronger. Their once loyal subjects turned against them, fueling the flames of their downfall. The shift of economic power to other regions was the final nail in the coffin. As trade routes shifted, Florence's importance diminished, and with it, the Medici's power. And just like that, the mighty Medici were reduced to mere pages in history. Yet, even in their fall, the Medici left an indelible mark on the world. This extraordinary family, whose reach once extended across the span of the Renaissance, has left a legacy that continues to reverberate through art, culture and finance. Their patronage of the arts brought about a cultural awakening, a renaissance that forever transformed the world. They were the patrons of the greats like Michelangelo, Botticelli and Leonardo da Vinci, whose works still inspire awe and admiration. On the other hand, their banking acumen, their innovative practices, laid the foundation of modern banking. They pioneered concepts like holding companies, branches, and even double-entry bookkeeping. Their bank was a powerhouse that financed kings, popes, and wars, shaping the course of history. The Medici may be gone, but their influence continues to echo through the corridors of power and finance even today. Now let's take a journey through the spectacular views of Florence, Rome, Milan, and Venice. See the magnificent sculptures that dot these cities, artifacts from the Renaissance era, a testament to the Medici's patronage of the arts. As we traverse these cities, remember the Medici family, their rise and fall, their influence on banking, and their indelible mark on art and culture. The Medici legacy lives on not just in the financial systems of today, but in the beauty and grandeur of these cities, in the awe-inspiring works of art they left behind.